of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files Newz Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org. If you or your loved one needs high quality mathematics tutoring that's actually virtual on the spot, comes from experts like myself who's been doing it for 20 plus years, or other qualified tutors. It's also very affordable and highly accessible. Like I said, it's virtual. You could get tutoring on the spot as quick as you can click a button. Now, moving on, you actually have the Senate, U.S. Senate majority being taken officially by the Democrats with these two wins that were secured from vote counting over the weekend, with Arizona's incumbent Senator Mark Kelly securing his seat, as well as Nevada's incumbent Senator Catherine Cortez Masto securing her win. So now, as it is, Democrats have 50 seats in the Senate. They're still waiting on a runoff election to take place between Reverend Raphael Warnock, the incumbent senator, Democratic senator in Georgia, against Republican challenger, former NFL star Herschel Walker. And with that, if Warnock wins that, now you're talking about 51 seats. They won't even need a tie-breaking vote coming from Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris for any of these issues, like regarding executive and judicial nominations, or any laws that they may want to convene over. So keep that in mind. But in the U.S. House of Representatives, you do have it to where the race is tight for who can get the majority, but it's looking like the Republicans might get it. They have 212 seats so far, 6 shy of the 218 seats that would be needed for them to have a majority if they're going to all vote as a monolith, whereas the Democrats have only 204 seats, so there's still races being decided. We'll see how this all turns out. Green Wall and Graduation. News report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files Newz Report. So you got some 2020 election deniers actually taking some L's in some key political positions out here. Now, when I say 2020 election denier, I'm talking about people who say that Donald Trump did not lose the election of 2020 fair and square to Joe Biden, even though all the investigations in the country have actually showed that that was not true, that he actually lost fair and square. If anything, it showed Republicans were actually doing most of the voter fraud in that scenario. You need an example? What about Trump getting caught trying to get the Secretary of State for Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to actually come up with thousands of votes so that he can win that state? What about all this evidence of these fake electors being submitted by your Blake Masters and your other politicians? But I digress, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes y'all act like people just talking out the ass like a nigga can't come with facts. But moving on, you had Cisco Aguilar, Democrat, actually beating out Jim Marchant, a 2020 election denier, for the Secretary of State position in Nevada. Over in Arizona, you actually had Adrian Fontes, a Democrat, actually beating out Mark Fincham for that Secretary of State position. This was somebody who's also like pro-Trump. And then you have, interestingly enough, Katie Hobbs, a Democrat, actually maintaining her narrow lead over Carrie Lake, who's being backed by Donald Trump, for the gubernatorial position, for governor of Arizona. And Carrie Lake is somebody who not only was a 2020 election denier, but she's been saying that she's not going to concede to losing the election results. Essentially, if she loses, she's not going to believe that the election results are real, and has recently been saying that the vote counters have actually been slowing down the process without providing any real evidence of this. But this is days of her saying that she's going to win the election, and it's looking like it's going to be a close loss. We'll see how this all turns out. Green Wall and Graduation. Streets reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files Newz Report. Long hair, don't care, my scruff, but check this out though. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org if you need some mathematics tutoring for yourself or a loved one. You can get it from experts. So it's high quality, it's very affordable, and it's highly accessible. Just a click of a button, you can start an instant video chat that is prorated in time, instant money exchanges. And if you also find yourself to be able to qualify to be a mathematics tutor at a high level, you should definitely check the website out and get yourself some paper. Now, moving on to the news, you have Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky actually visiting the newly recaptured southern city of Kherson after Russian troops had actually fled from this region last week after occupying it since March. So this is seen as like this major victory right now. People are rejoicing. Zelensky actually said when he was in the area, there's evidence of hundreds of war crimes having been committed by Russia, and you know the people in those streets are rejoicing now. Zelensky also talked about how fighting in the now Russian-occupied eastern region of Donetsk has actually been like hell, and that they are hoping Ukraine and Kyiv, you know, Kyiv being the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv is actually hoping to recapture the area. However, it's looking grim because not only do they have to fight against Russians, but the region is being protected by separatists, by people who actually live in Ukraine that want to separate from Ukraine. And a lot of these people are Russians. I mean, there's millions of Russians in the Donbass region that actually, well, I say millions of Russians, but millions of people who speak Russian. And part of the demands of Russia before invading Ukraine was that Donetsk is one of the regions that is actually released by Ukraine, and that Ukraine had been like kind of just tough on the pro-Russian people and the separatists over in that region. So we'll see how all of this turns out. It's looking like a win, but is this just a chess move by Russia, or is this really a L for them on the battle level? We'll see. Green War and Graduation though. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org to get yourself or loved ones some mathematics tutoring, or go to the Instagram page GP Tutoring Services, G as in graduation, P as in party tutoring services, and you'll find the links there. Now moving on, you got U.S. President Joe Biden pulling up to COP27. COP27, for those out of the know, is the climate summit that's actually going on in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, right now, where nations are gathering around under the United Nations organization, under the United Nations run climate summit, to discuss how we're going to move forward in dealing with climate change as a world. Of course, I would be giving y'all this news, me being the streets reporter of the New World Order, because there's some New World Order shit right now going on. Or we'll say some one world government shit. Let me not jump the gun and say New World Order shit. But anyway, you have Biden. Right now, the Biden administration has announced plans that will actually reduce methane emissions from gas and oil drilling to 87% below 2005 levels. So this is when, Trump and Republicans was running shit in the United States. Let's be real. Now, moving on, you actually have Biden saying that, we've rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement and apologizing for ever being removed from the agreement in the first place, which was something that Donald Trump did. So, it's kind of looked at, some may look at it as a slight against him, but, or, Biden taking a stab at Trump for doing that. A lot of people, some people praise Trump for pulling out of that agreement, but a lot of these people are just pro-oil, and they don't believe in the science showing that climate emissions are actually carbon emissions, are actually contributing to climate catastrophe. But keep in mind that the United States is actually the second largest polluter in the world, only behind China, and the first overall largest polluter by far. And they account for 20% of carbon dioxide emissions today. But Biden, while at the summit, didn't mention anything about any climate reparations. You know what I mean? You have a lot of climate activists that are outside the COP27, as is every year, whatever. But this year being a little different with the summit taking place in what's considered the global south. People are calling for the richer nations that are doing most of the emissions to actually pay reparations and for damages to these countries in the global south, and these poorer countries that are suffering from the effects of climate change, but not the ones that are actually, making the most production or doing the most industrial things that are contributing to the climate catastrophe that we find ourselves in. Is it really a climate catastrophe, or is it just, the opposite of the ice age? Are we going back to the ice age? A lot of people say these things or whatever. What do you think? Provide your comments below. Green War and Graduation though. Report of the New World of the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black 5 News Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out the graduationparty.org to get yourself some high quality mathematics tutoring. Now moving on into the news, you actually had Twitter, man, dummy of the year, Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gotta say it, yo. He went and motherfucking took over Twitter, started firing motherfuckers now, and then he tried to make it to where you could pay for subscriptions, pay for that blue check. I mean, pay to be verified, and then no wonder you start seeing fake accounts. You got a fake Eli Lilly account talking about they're gonna make insulin free, cause their own stock to drop. The real Eli Lilly account stock to drop. You had at Lockheed Martini. You talking about fake Lockheed Martin account. Lockheed Martini said they was gonna stop all weapon sales to the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Israel, yo, and they motherfucking stopped. Took a dip. So this was like just stupid though. Like why you do that? You know what I'm saying? It makes me think about Sean King, and it's like, dang, yo, bro really did escape from that. Say mad early on when he heard Elon was getting that. I'm not fucking with Twitter no more. I'm not. And look what has happened. Just in him just getting it. You know what I'm saying? And you know he gonna bring Trump to all that motherfucker, but like, yo, he's causing disruption, but is it like stupidity? Is he trying to make shit happen and make shit uncertain on purpose? Like what's going on? You hurting the value of your company. They was creating fake Tesla accounts too. Like, so what is he doing? But we were in graduation though. Report of the New World of the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So over there in Egypt, you have activist and writer Alaa Abdel Fattah. You know, his sister is actually Sanai C. She's also a known activist out there in Egypt. But you have Fattah has actually been on a hunger strike protesting his imprisonment for 7 months, and just finally actually got word back to his family via a letter dated on November 12th this past weekend that he had he's fine, you know what I mean, his vital records are okay or whatever, but he had stopped drinking water. It was already known that he had stopped drinking water on November 6th. And this is the first contact that his family has had with him since Halloween, where they basically been like just pleading for him to get, you know, a contact, like in contact with him, you know. So this is actually drawing a lot of attention, of course. You know what I mean? You got talking about somebody who was known being on a fucking 7-month hunger strike, then deciding to strike on water, ends up doing that for 6 days. You know what I'm saying? Now you talking to a bro that done did 40 days, 40 nights, you feel me? Like you talking about like doing 7 months? Like, are you kidding me? This is insanity. Then doing 6 days with no water? You just used to it by then. But still on strike though, as far as being on a hunger strike, but he did start drinking water. But the German Chancellor, the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, you got Joe Biden, and Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, actually bringing it up in their meetings with Egyptian President. They all brought it up with in their meetings with the President of Egypt. You talking about Abdel Fattah el-Sisi? You know what I'm saying? So it's you know, a lot. They government really be having they be cracking shit down, basically, you know what I'm saying, as far as dissent. They take those things very seriously. So, you know, bro's still behind bars. Apparently his lawyers have actually been denied entry for into the prison to actually meet with him for the 3rd time. You know what I'm saying? The 3rd time, basically, like, even though he got permission from the prosecutor's office to do so. So that's how they on him like that, man. We ain't want graduation though. Streets reporter of the New World of the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. You see the kid long hair, don't care. But let me get this info to y'all though. You had Joe Biden for the first time since he's been president actually meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, you got to think of all the tension that's been in the air, you know what I mean? War, the invasion over in Ukraine. You talking about since The American politicians been going over there to Taiwan against the wishes of China and all of that. So them meeting up in Bali, Indonesia was a big deal. They both expressed similar sentiments about what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So they're moving in that fashion. Biden did this ahead of the G20 summit. You know what I mean? While he out there in Asia now. This is in between going to the G20 summit and the COP27 summit over in Egypt. You had Biden actually going to Cambodia and actually meeting up with the organization out there, the ASEAN organization. That's the American Southeast Asian Nations Summit. And this was actually while a lot of protesting is out there going on against ASEAN for not doing anything about the military takeover that happened over in Burma through a coup in February 2021. You know what I'm saying? So they've been running that thing since. Like, just think about some rebels out in your neighborhood, whatever, niggas that's just like heavily strapped and they really got it like that. They just decided to take over the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real like that. A lot of murder happened from that too. You know what I mean? A lot of important people getting put in jail and all of that. Like, so everybody stay woke, stay focused. You know what I mean? You might have a suite where you at. Greenwood graduation. Street supporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, we talking about over in Istanbul, Turkey. 46 people have actually been arrested following this explosion that actually took place on Sunday that had let off a bomb, basically, that went off killing at least 6 people and injuring over a dozen others. You know what I'm saying? So you got Turkish forces, they're blaming it on some Kurdish fighters that have been like, you know what I mean, swelling up over there in recent days. But the killer has the real bomber, the motive, you know what I mean, who everybody with. They couldn't confirm that, you know, outlets haven't confirmed that yet. But what they do know is that the bomber, the person who was the suspected bomber, was among the 46 that were arrested. But that's a lot of people related to something. So it seemed like, you know, it's going to be odds on that. It looked like it might be a little war brewing up over there. Green War and graduation, though. Street supporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Iran, you know how all of these protests were going on over in Iran after, like, you know, about 7 weeks ago, the murder of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini. Well, we won't say murder. Can we say murder? But basically the death of this woman, this Kurdish woman who's over there in Iran, while she was in police custody, she got taken out by, you know, their so-called morality police, right? You know what I mean? They cuffed her and took her away because of how she was wearing her hijab. Now, so you actually got the Iran's Revolutionary Court, however, they handed out their first death sentence to people who've been protesting in these past 7 weeks against the government and how the police had handled Mahsa Amini's death. So, of course, even in past weeks, I mean, people have died. Like, there's been a lot of injuries, a lot of fighting going on, a lot of crackdown. But the Revolutionary Court has issued its first death sentence. And they also, to 5 other people out there, had issued sentences up to a decade. So this is a violation of national security and public order. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Some people might feel like this is proof of you having it good where you have it. You know what I mean? And it gets easy to be like, yeah, you know, everybody has it the same way or whatever, but that's serious. You know what I'm saying? But keep in mind, though, we living in a nation that actually is sanctioning that country going under strife, and you can't act like that strife is undivorced from, you know, their resources, us trying to economically hurt them, is it not? Us trying to crack down on them nuclear weapons, is it not? But is we fighting terrorism or is we not? You know what I mean? Comment below. Green War and graduation, though. Supporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. If you need mathematics tutoring, go ahead and check out the graduationparty.org, where you can actually get it at high quality, highly accessible, very affordable, and you can get it in the level that you need, from arithmetic all the way up to calculus. So check that out. It's from the Graduation Party supporters. We continue to support y'all. Now, as far as the United States government, the Biden administration specifically, has actually just extended TPS, temporary protected status, to immigrants, 392,000 immigrants that are occupying the country that are from, we're talking about Nicaragua, Nepal, Sudan, El Salvador, and Honduras. And you actually have that TPS was supposed to expire by the end of this year, but they extended it to June of 2024. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. That adds a couple years. And some of y'all might be like, well, see, this is where the Biden administration, Democrats, they letting all these immigrants in. First off, these motherfuckers that was already in the country. Second off, yeah, I mean, you gotta have some empathy for what it means to have to actually get up and leave a country. Some of y'all don't even want to leave your people's house. You know what I'm saying? You don't even want to leave your mama crib. Your girl want to kick you out, whatever. You forcing yourself to stay there and all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of you think about, you know what I mean, having to leave the country. That's just leaving the crib. We want graduation though. Supporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over at the University of Virginia, up there in Charlottesville, Virginia, you actually had classes getting canceled after there's a shooting that actually happened in Sunday evening, where you had this gunman who's actually a former UVA student letting off into a garage, basically busting shots at a garage, ends up killing 3 people, student athletes involved in all of that or whatever, and the gunman is still at large. So, you know what I mean? Even if you didn't cancel classes, I don't think people was really showing up to that motherfucker. But, I mean, fucked up situation. Green War and graduation though. Supporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, I've been telling y'all over the years about the battling that's been going on in Ethiopia between the Ethiopian government and Tigray, a region that is within Ethiopia. So, there's been a lot of war going on where, well, you actually had officials from Tigray and the Ethiopian government reaching a peace deal earlier this month in South Africa. And this, and you're talking about a peace deal that was actually brokered in part by Uhuru Kenyatta, who's the former president of Kenya, who actually said, you know, anybody committing atrocities against civilians will face severe sanctions. So, you know, it seems like it's a very serious agreement. They actually signed paperwork and moved forward with an agreement to allow for immediate humanitarian aid to go into the people that are in the Tigray region. So it seems like they're moving, they have an understanding possibly, but you're talking about 800,000 people that have actually died or said to have died by some estimates from this 2-year war. You know what I'm saying? That's serious business right there. Millions of people got pushed up out of there. The United Nations, by their estimates, says 5.2 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance. You know what I'm saying? All from this war, like straight bloodshed. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind when you're seeing people from Ethiopia and Tigray. You know what I'm saying? Shit is real over there. They don't give a fuck about your beef with that nigga up the block that be looking at your girl. You know what I'm saying? Green War and graduation though. Street reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Man, I get tired of actually reporting on these things, but it is important that we keep it in mind, because there's a genocide slowly taking place up there in Palestine and in Israel. You got the occupied West Bank area where you had Israeli soldiers performing raids, and they actually killed this 19-year-old Palestinian girl who actually was, they killed her during a vehicle check. They basically raiding the area. This is in the city of Beitunia, Beitunia, Beitunia maybe. In this city, and that's actually the 101. That makes the death toll 130 as far as Palestinians killed by Israeli soldiers under an assault going on in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. So that makes 2022 for that the deadliest year since like 06. So the violence is picking up in that regard. You know what I mean? And keeping in mind, America, we continue to give money to Israel. Green War and graduation. Street reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So you actually got a United Nations envoy, who's basically like a group of people that's essentially moving about internationally in representing an organization, so or a government or whatever. So you got the United Nations envoy, and right now is actually urging Western nations and other nations to lift up their sanctions against Syria. these are sanctions that were put in place like over 10 years ago after there was like a start of an internal war going on over there. I mean, you got even still people right now warring up there in Idlib or whatever. So it's something that's serious. It's going on through from Obama to Trump to Biden. Like, you know what I mean? It's real going on. However, it's causing what they're saying is a catastrophic damage to the people in the economy right now. 90% of the people, at least 90% of the people there living in poverty, and you know, you got these sanctions that are making it difficult for them to have economic recovery. So it's said to be causing shortages in like the food, medicine, and shelter, and other things as far as living. So it's a dire situation out there. We'll see if that even puts on pressure. You know what I'm saying? Maybe our people need some envoys too. We can go out to other countries and let them know, like, yo, this ain't us. You know what I'm saying? It's just really not us black people that's doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we could. We in war on graduation though.